The Galar fossils are the most contentious fossil Pokemon there are. And that's a shame, because these four Dumbos are in my opinion quite clever. And very well designed as well. They take inspiration from the Bone Wars. Casualties? 2 men's dignity. This so-called war was actually a heated rivalry between Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, who was probably an alcoholic, from 1877 to 1892. They were both self-proclaimed paleontologists and bone hunters. And together, they discovered 136 brand new dinosaur species. Although, they did it through, let's say, dubious means. These guys hated each other, and their heated rivalry caused them to rush expeditions, mess up skeletons, and even steal and fake each other's discoveries. They would frequently mess up their fossils, classifying them incorrectly, putting them together wrongly, or even putting the wrong heads on the wrong ends on the wrong skeletons. The Galar fossils were supposed to be freaks of nature, and they pulled this off perfectly, while still being charming and silly. That is why I think they are effective designs. They also invite a sense of mystery, as many people have imagined what these guys would look like if they were reassembled correctly. Game Freak tricked us all into speculative zoology. Touché, Game Freak, touché. Today, it's finally time that I throw my hat into the ring and fix these guys as well. But how will I do that? Easy. I have the other halves of the fossils right here. So all I need to do is to reassemble them with the right half. Ow. Ow. Oh no, as I was saying, I'll be fixing the Galar fossils. Let's get started, shall we? So this part goes here, and this one in there. Okay. So the first ancient fossil Pokemon will be inspired by sauropods. Sauropods were the coolest dinosaurs, objectively speaking, and their name meant lightning lizards. That's why this Pokemon will be an electric type. I started off with the neck itself, the most important aspect of a sauropod, of course. They used these long necks as a way to breathe out of the water. Now, many people don't know this, but sauropods were actually too big and too heavy to walk on land. This is, of course, a very common mistake seen in movies. It's theorized that sauropods actually lived semi-aquatic lives, because they needed the water to stabilize and support their far too large bodies. That is why iconic dinosaurs, like the famous Brontosaurus, are so contentious. The average person thinks this is because scientists said that Brontosaurus wasn't an actual species of dinosaur and just a misclassified Apatosaurus, but in actuality it was recently discovered that Brontosaurus were different species of dinosaurs from the Apatosaurus, because they lived on land instead of in the water. They were the only sauropod to do this. You may be wondering why the bottom half of this Pokemon is so small compared to the top half. This is because dinosaurs were actually ancestors of birds. And so sauropods, like all other dinosaurs, had bird hips. So that's why I gave this Pokemon a bird-like rear end. I also took inspiration from the Tanystropheus, another cool obscure dinosaur that lived in the Triassic. This dinosaur would wade on shores and use its long neck to fish. It was the first sauropod. This is Veloness, from Velocity and Ness.
Veloness, the fossil Pokemon, an electric and ice type. With its astoundingly long neck, it could reach the tops of trees to eat. It had a poor time balancing, however, so it resided most of the time in the water. It generated electricity by using its neck as a lightning rod during thunderstorms. This would have fried its tiny brain, however. It has the abilities Refrigerate and Snow Warning. It also has the ability Sun Rush. The ability Sun Rush is similar to the ability Slush Rush and Sand Rush, but for the harsh sun weather.
Sauropods are my favorite dinosaurs, so I'm very happy I can finally draw an accurate representation of what a sauropod would have actually looked like. Giant, semi-aquatic birds. Like penguins. From one sauropod to another. Next up, I'll be fixing the Arctofossil. This Pokemon is based on one of the most iconic aquatic dinosaurs, the Plesiosaurus. Okay, second most iconic. Mosasaur was the real most iconic water dinosaurs. Plesiosaurus were distantly related to sauropods like Brachiosaurus, because they spent so much time underwater. These animals evolved to be fully aquatic. They also commonly came in contact with creatures like the Spinosaurus. Yes, Plesiosaurs were aggressive hunters that would hunt and eat prey much larger than them, and so they often fought Mosasaurus and Spinosaurus to a brutal, bloody end. These aquatic dinosaurs actually survived the terrible disaster that killed the dinosaurs, known as the Great Constipation Devastation. A terrible disaster that caused all dinosaurs to be unable to reproduce, and thus they all died out. The Plesiosaurus has actually survived to the modern day, albeit as an endangered species. Nessie in Scotland is the last remaining member of its species, after the carcass of the last known female was found dead by Japanese fishers near New Zealand. Scientists used to believe that the Plesiosaurs used to have a short neck and a really long tail, but now evidence shows that Plesiosaurs didn't have a tail at all. I also took some inspiration from the Tenistrophius again. I really like the design because its butt looks like sushi and I really want to eat it, even though I admittedly don't like sushi. I'm sure sushi made of giant reptiles will taste better though. If you want to support preservation attempts for the poor Plesiosaurus, then a great way of doing it is by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. And maybe share this video with people in order to spread the word of the Plesiosaur endangerment. Every second counts to save these poor little dinosaurs. Mermoness. From mer meaning sea, mermaid, and ness, as in Nessie the Plesiosaurus.
Mermoness, the fossil Pokemon, a water and ice type. With its long neck, it reached for fish beneath the water surface. It was bad at swimming because it had no tail to steer with. It couldn't evade terrestrial predators because of how slowly it moved on land. And it couldn't swim away from seaborne predators either. It has the abilities Refrigerate, Snow Warning, and the hidden ability Storm Rush. The ability Storm Rush is like the ability Sand Rush and Slush Rush, but for rainy weather.
I hope you guys like this amazing aquatic dinosaur just as much as I do. But we're not done yet with water-dwelling dinosaurs. The next Pokemon will be based on... the coolest underwater dinosaurs, the Mosasaurus. They were these absolutely massive aquatic dinosaurs that could reach the size of blue whales, sometimes even bigger, and they ate sharks in a single bite. They even hunted land-dwelling dinosaurs by jumping onto shore, like how orcas often eat seals. Another inspiration for this Pokemon are crocodiles, close cousins of the dinosaur and thus also the Mosasaurus. These guys lived during the age of dinosaurs, and some of them even hunted these beautiful creatures. Now, I know it's pretty hard to distinguish between a crocodile and a dinosaur, since they resembled each other very closely. Scaly lizards with sunken eyes and threatening teeth. Even both of them had lizard proportions. The difference between crocodiles and dinosaurs is honestly just purely the fact that crocodiles still exist in the same exact way as they did during the Mesozoic, and dinosaurs are extinct. Because crocodiles were lucky enough to survive the Great Constipation Devastation. Back in the day, there were massive crocodiles, like Lolong Lolong, which was a really long crocodile. Its name even means long long in Philippine. There was also the Sarcosuchus, which reached up to 10 meters long. Crocodiles haven't evolved much since the dinosaurs went extinct, however, and nothing interesting happened with them since. They just got smaller because of a process known as de-evolution, in which animals grow, well, really boring and lame. This is Mermotor, from Mer and Mermaids, and Tor, which means bull. I gave it this name because crocodiles hunt bulls.
Mermotor, the fossil Pokemon, a water and dragon type. It was the apex predator of the prehistoric seas. Its overhunting of fish Pokemon is what caused it to go extinct. It was a skilled swimmer, however, it had to come up to the surface every 2 minutes in order to breathe, so it couldn't pursue prey for long. It has the abilities Rock Head, Dragon Maw, and the hidden ability Storm Rush.
Mermotor is so cool. I'm super happy I seamlessly managed to blend a crocodile with a Mosasaurus, and I even put some cool mermaid inspirations in there. But that's enough gawking at this perfect specimen. Let's have a look at the final fossil of today's video. The final fossil we'll be fixing today is the Draco fossil. I determined this one to be an ancient carnivorous dinosaur, similar to Dimetrodon, Saurosuchus, and more specifically, the Erythrosuchus. These were Triassic dinosaurs, which hadn't yet evolved to stand on their back legs. So they still walked on their front limbs. And most strikingly, these creatures had massive jaws. These heads were super big, and would stay the exact same size until they evolved into the Carnotaurus and the T-Rex, their ancestors. They were the apex predator of the Triassic, with a super strong bite. Or at least, that's what scientists believed at first, because new evidence shows that Erythrosuchus, just like the T-Rex, were 100% scavengers, and couldn't hunt their own food. This is because they had short arms, and so they couldn't really grab prey. Losers. Did you know that Erythrosuchus had a fierce rivalry with another dinosaur? The Cotyloryncus, which is exactly how you pronounce that name. They lived at the same time in the Triassic, and the Cotyloryncus really despised the Erythrosuchus, because it had a bigger brain than it. And the virgin Cotyloryncus was jealous of the Chad Erythrosuchus for stealing all the brain capacity during evolution. The reason these two dinosaurs had such weird bodies is because there has recently been a mass extinction. The Great Dying. Luckily though, it wasn't as bad as the mass constipation devastation. It's actually the least bad of the mass extinction events. But it caused all the dinosaurs to have to compete for the same niches, and thus there were more weirdly shaped guys. Kind of like when you keep dying in Spore and you go to the creature creator and make a completely different creature. This is Velotor, from Velocity and Tor, because Erythrosuchus and other related species were actually ancestors of mammals, like the bull.
Velotor, the fossil Pokemon, an electric dragon type. In ancient times, it rushed down prey at speeds of 80 kilometers an hour. However, because of its pathetic front limbs, it struggled to actually catch prey. The strong bite of this Pokemon generated electricity. Its rear end is far too small for the rest of its bulky body. It has the abilities Rockheads, Dragon's Maw, and a hidden ability, Sunrush.
This was the final dinosaurs of this video. Isn't it exciting? Seeing all of these once ugly and incorrect fossil Pokemon finally resemble their true original forms. I'm super proud of these designs and had a lot of fun with this video. Now you know what to do, people. Like and subscribe and have another wonderful day. I've been Gary the Muffin. Gotta catch me? Gary, don't you have to admit something? What? Me? Admit what? Gary, quit your deceit. Okay, fine. I do have to admit something. I've not been entirely honest with you guys. This isn't a normal dinosaurs video. This is an April Fool's video. Wow, no poop spice, Sherlock. Ha! April Fools, I pretended to have the latest video intentionally to trick you all. Gary, your dishonesty truly shows your despicable character. I'm sorry. It's okay. The designs are quite entertaining, I guess. Thank you, Larry. And thank you all for watching through this silly video. I have been planning this April Fool's video since the very beginning. It was my master plan. I've honestly always wanted to do my own April Fool's video, so finally getting to do one of these stupid ones is so much fun. Also, every dino fact I shared after the intro has been completely bogus. Don't trust anything I said in this video. I'm more regretful of that than tricking you guys, honestly. Trust me, calling plesiosaurs dinosaurs hurt me more than it hurt you. The Bone Wars thing was true though. Wait, but did you actually fix the Galar fossils now or not? What were those designs in your time lapses? Oh, yeah, right. I did. In preparation for these designs, I drew what I thought the original guys were. For the heads, coming up with a full design was pretty simple. Just take the animals they were inspired by and finish the designs. So we have Velosault, the Velociraptor, and Merovish, the Dunkleosteus. For their butts, buttocks. Like I said, for their backsides, I had to speculate a little more. Most people presume Draco to be a Stegosaurus or a Pachycephalosaurus, but I thought it'd be more cool to make it a Carnotaurus, an iconic dinosaur that I'm surprised isn't a Pokemon yet. So that's why I designed Dracotor. Also, Tor comes from bull and Carnotaurus. Carnotaurus literally just means meat-eating bull. For the Arcto fossil, most people seem to agree it was a plesiosaurus of some kind. And when I got the entertaining idea for Veloness, I decided to make it an Elasmosaurus, a plesiosaur whose tail and neck once got switched around. So this is Arctoness. I hope you guys enjoyed this April Fool's special, and have another wonderful day. I've been Gary the Muffin. Gotta catch me later.